Just how social are you? Should you and your business be more social? Well, as many of us grapple with the opportunity and pitfalls that social media present, an Inforum conference in Sydney today drew a large gathering of wannabe groundswell experts. Just beforehand, I caught up with one of the gurus, Laurel Papworth, named this year by Forbes magazine in the top 50 social media influencers globally. Her clients have included the Singapore government, Westpac, Sony and Australian governments. She's the CEO of the Community Crew, managing massive gaming and online communities. Laurel Papworth, welcome to the programme.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Well, the statistics are quite revealing. 75% of businesses in one survey don't think social media brings value. Why aren't more businesses able to harness social media?
I think the big issue for social media people is the term social media. And when we go and talk to businesses about social media, it implies party media. So people are thinking parties, people tweeting about their lunch, Facebooking about where they're going on the weekend. But of course, social means society, so it means colleagues, vendors, competitors, future clients, past employees. It means the whole of our society. So I think one of the issues is with the term social media.
For some big businesses, there have been some spectacular success stories, of course. Ford's entry into the US, and I think about 25% of sales for Dell come from referrals. Is that clever thinking, or is social media only for some companies?
It suits, social media suits any type of company that has clients and has a lot of clients. And one of the main things you're looking to do in social media is to ensure that your customer is satisfied so that they tell other potential customers. It's not a broadcast medium where you're advertising to each person directly. You're asking for a customer to then give a referral on, to tweet about what they bought, to Facebook about a service that they purchased and how happy they were with it. So the really important thing with any business looking to come into social media is that their customers are happy and will talk about them.
There have also been the big boo-boos, of course, in particular Coles I'm thinking about with its Twitter, in my house it's a crime not to, and they ended up getting things like a crime not to buy locally. And then they put out a message themselves saying it's actually a crime not to finish a sentence, and that wasn't meant for Twitter. Does that sort of strategy work? Because you're still under the eyes of the groundswell, aren't you?
You are, and I would say if you do end up causing a firestorm online, to be really mindful of how you approach that firestorm. There's about 8 different options that you have with dealing negative criticism on Twitter and Facebook. Humour is one. I really liked when Qantas Luxury blew up, which was a very similar thing. What is Qantas Luxury? It's planes that leave on time with Australian pilots. The prize was a pair of pyjamas, so Qantas put up a photo of the pair of offending pyjamas, is what they called it. So they used a light touch in response, but each time it's really important to understand why the groundswell is there. It's not necessarily just there because people are mucking around. It's because there are some real social issues that they're trying to address by fighting back against the brand.
People talk about the demise of marketing and the customer now owning the brand. Do you think social media is a panacea for marketing, or do you think it's out to destroy it?
I think that marketing is under fire in all sorts of ways, but it's not due to the customer owning the brand. It's really about the customer doesn't line up to speak to marketing in an office. They line up to speak to customer service. So in a lot of ways, we're looking at social customer service. And unless marketing can answer questions like, what's wrong with my router? How do I get a return on this dress? And marketing tends not to do that one-on-one customer service or have that sort of information. They're really going to struggle to engage with customers who want to ask them questions about products and services the company provides.
And then, of course, there are the tensions between the marketing department and the PR department. Who should control social media?
Or is it customer service? I would say at this point in time, we're really looking at most companies shifting their Twitter accounts out of marketing and PR and pushing it into customer service, because that's what the customer wants. But I really look back to the early days of email, when in 1995 companies would have one computer connected to email, somebody would print up all the emails and then distribute them around the building. So only one person was allowed to have control of the email account. Now, of course, today everybody's got an email account, and I expect that in the future everyone will have a social media account, everyone will connect with their part of the business, the accountant will connect with other accountants, the company lawyer will connect with other lawyers, customer service will connect with customers. So we'll see social media being integrated across the whole of the enterprise.
You actually think social media could be quite revolutionary, particularly in things like peer-to-peer banking. What does that mean?
So peer-to-peer banking is where you go to your social network and you ask for a loan for, say, for instance, $100,000. But instead of one person putting up $100,000 or a small group, everybody that you know puts up $1 and then asks all the people that they know, in other words, they advertise you to their social network for them to put up $1 as well. So you see potentials here around fundraising, around peer-to-peer banking, where I could go on Facebook and say, I need a loan for $8,000 or $10,000, and then collectively, collaboratively raise that money in some form or another.
What about the security? I mean, particularly in these sorts of markets on the funding side.
Well, in a lot of the cases of peer-to-peer banking, the banks themselves are no longer providing a service, they're providing a platform. And by that I mean you have to still put up your driver's license, your banking details and all the things that verify who you are, but then the bank doesn't take on the responsibility of the loan, the social network does. And they decide whether they think you're a good risk or a bad risk, depending on how long you've been on the network for and the sort of things you're asking for and how much you've revealed about yourself to the social network.
You can even see Facebook with its own currency.
Facebook does have its own currency. It has something called credits, and Facebook credits are currently being used mostly in games. So, for instance, for Farmville and Mob Wars and those sort of games. However, you've been able to buy cinema tickets using Facebook credits. And the fascinating thing there is that when you buy a cinema ticket, say for instance I'm going to the movies at 5 p.m. in George Street in Sydney to see The Artist tonight, it will show up in my news feed and people will have an option to say like, share, comment, the typical Facebook things, or buy. And when they click buy, they use Facebook credits to buy a ticket as well. And now it shows up in the news feed. 15 of your friends are going to see The Artist at 5 p.m. tonight at the cinema.
Laura Papworth, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.